Yo, all right, y'all know the drill. I may cuss, but I'm cursed. Let's get that situated first. Benjamin Sixth back with another one for all of us. Glad that you could make it sincerely. Now, listen, I want to start off by saying this. Forgive me for saying that time doesn't exist here and there. I know y'all have heard me say it before. And really, it just sounds cool. I'm going to just keep it a beat with you. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like a cool thing to say. And I do mean it, but I mean it in a Neptunian sense, to where it's like, the mind is not bound by the confines of the 3D structure. You know what I'm saying? By the confines of time, pretty much. So think about it. You can imagine and fast forward right now in your mind right now. And whatever it is that you're imagining will occur faster in your mind than it would in the 3D, right or wrong. Even if you argue that it's like all subject to 3D time anyway, because even if you fast forward it in your mind, it'll still be subject to time. And listen, you're missing the point, right? I can blink and imagine I'm in France right now. I could blink and imagine I'm in Africa right now. I can be there in my mind before you can physically get off the phone with the Uber driver, right or wrong, to go to the airport, you know what I'm saying, to lift off to anywhere. So the argument about 3D time and that nature is just obsolete at that point, right or wrong. You can imagine yourself doing things that you can't physically do in 3D time will be measured by time, which is a primary point that I'm going to make here, is that time is a ruler. It's a ruler of the third dimension that tracks tangible movement, right, on Earth. Tangible movement on Earth. Let's keep this simple as possible. It's already a complex topic, right? See this right here? It's a ruler. It's a measuring stick. Hey, yo, boy, this crazy work. But we see this, right? It's a ruler. It measures things. It measures objects, right? Tangible objects. And when we look at it, it's a straight line, pretty rigid, right? Capricorns, don't get triggered, Capricorns, right? And then you got, like, in layman's terms, you have the beginning point, you have the middle point, you have the ending point, right? So there's a beginning to an end, from A to B, right? And therefore, when you're planning things or stuff like that, you'll be able to predict outcomes and have control over it, right? Again, I said trigger warning to the Capricorns, but be easy. Because not being able to predict and control outcomes from a Capricornian perspective is actually a good thing. The ruler loves Earth because it's tangible objects. It gets to measure hard, rigid object. Pause. Yeah, but it gets to measure hard, rigid objects. It's Capricorn stuff. It's Earth element stuff. Now, wormholes are defined as when the universe collapses on itself, sort of like, it's like curvy. It's like when time bends, right? I think Interstellar is the movie did a real great job of showing that. I have another ruler here, y'all, right? And I'm just going to unravel it a little bit more, just to show you what I'm getting at here about time bending in wormholes. So you may see something like this, right? Right? Time bending and going in a loop, starting to look like a pattern, right? And if you're lucky, you'll even get able to experience time like this. If you're lucky, if you're paying attention. In that type of wormhole type of ideology, we have different grooves of time, we can say, right? Past, present, and future, as you perceived it with the ruler, still exists in here. But it's like you can go from here to here, and then even ultimately in there, and then back up and back up, back and forth, all of that via wormholes. You can do this without being detected by the measuring of time in a 3D perspective, like how a ruler would measure it, or even how a clock would measure it, really. Speaking of Capricorn, because I feel like a newbie here watching this is probably like, no fucking way, bullshit. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that you can like travel through time, through wormholes in your dream and stuff like this. So listen, right? And I might bring this up in dating a Capricorn woman, not in detail because this person's life is like a movie, and I wouldn't detail it. You know what I'm saying? But here nor there, right? So I'm working with this person and I'm hearing them explain something of importance, right? So they're telling me things that's relative to the reading at hand. And it clicked that the more that they spoke, the more that they were speaking things that I seen in a dream. Barbers are nice, we know that already. I got a rule of thumb though that I deal with when I'm dealing with revealing what I've seen in dreams with people and clients and stuff like that, people in general, to where it's like if they're not in tune, if they're not fully in sync to the point where I discern that it's all right to convey the information, I won't convey it. I'll hold it back. It'll just be one to grow on. You know what I'm saying? It'll just be information between me and God, and I'll sort it out the best way that I know possible. But when they're in tune and they're in sync, and I can sense it, it clicks, that's when I reveal it. So I had to stop. I'm like, yo, wait a minute, hold the phone. They're like, what? I'm like, listen, you've reached the point to where I've got to tell you what is going on. What else is going on? Some information that you should be privy to. You know what I mean? And I told them about my rule of thumb and stuff like that before I broke it down. And so I'm telling them some inside information that I got probably after one session with them. I had a dream and got all this information. I recorded it. So easily I could have just been like, based off what they had told me at that point, just been like, oh yeah, you know what? I had a dream last night that said the same thing. And they could have been like, no, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? And probably been like any skeptic, like, yeah, right, come on, stop playing. You just heard me say that, and now all of a sudden you had a dream that was like that. And this is why I record my dreams, and this is why I tell y'all to record y'all dreams. Because I said, I can show you better than I can tell you. I'm about to send you an audio recording of a dream that I had relative to everything that you just told me. Is date and time stamped too. And you tell me. Sent it to them. Now, boom, both our minds are baffled. I still get excited about this stuff, and I've done it countless times now. But I still get excited about it because it's just like magical to me. It's still sometimes unbelievable, even though it's happening. You know what I'm saying? So the data is undeniable once I reveal it to them. That client is pretty strong though when it comes to that stuff. She's pretty otherworldly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna just keep it a beam with y'all. But that's that. So my point there is time does exist, but there are ways of defining time. They could have lied, right? But someone who is seeking spiritual guidance, they want to get to the bottom of something. So once I see that the minds are synced, I reveal the information and I decode it for them. I decode the dream for them. So where am I going with this, right? I've been spiritually led to do this video because of hearing a few sayings lately. I've heard the saying, time doesn't exist. That's one of them, right? Stop dwelling in the past is another one. And stop worrying about your future is another one. I also heard another one that says worrying doesn't change the outcome. But also because I'm doing a wealth portal lecture in my membership, you have to go check that out if y'all haven't yet. There's other stuff there, but the wealth portal lectures are going off the chain right now. And I know that this will be a great addition to the wealth portal's lectures. Once I bring it on home, once I tie it all up, you're gonna be like, yeah. And I must admit again that those sayings are cool. Those sayings are just as cool as saying time doesn't exist. They're all cool. They seem to slide off the tongue real nice. Pause. Ayo. And I know I must have said time doesn't exist in the tarot reading here and there, and I was probably talking about living in the moment without worry when you are prepared for something or better prepared for something. But ultimately what I want to say is that you can live in the moment worry-free when you are prepared, or else. And when I say or else, I mean you might slip into psychosis or something. Living in the moment comes with the confidence of being knowledgeable. That's one. Planning. It also comes with the confidence also comes with doing the best and worst case scenario drills over and over in your head. Some Virgo shit. You know what I'm saying? And yes, it's about the future, and some of that plan will be based on historical experience as well. Living in the past, because if you don't study history, you're bound to repeat it. Right? So Christians don't get in the crosshairs of what I'm saying either, because the Lord said don't worry about what you will obtain tomorrow and stuff like that. The Lord also said to get your house in order, right? Because you don't know what day or hour that the Lord is coming, right? So you know what I'm saying? Also Saturn, aka Chronos, aka Satan, whatever whatever, right? Rules over time, right? Father of time. But like I said, it's a ruler. Time is a ruler. Furthermore, it's a finite measure over or objects. Objects, they have what? Life cycles, right? It's only a certain amount of time before it decays, before it expires, before it erodes, right? Think about your monoliths of the world, the eighth wonders of the world, like the Sphinx, the Giza pyramid, and stuff like that. Yeah, those things lasted a very long time, especially the Sphinx. But they have been weathered. They have eroded. Some other pyramids in America, they got grass growing all on top of them and stuff like that. They don't no longer look like what they used to look like. Some places are not inhabitable anymore. You know what I'm saying? And think about that when you think about Saturn and you think about Capricorn and you think about structuring and planning, because its goal is to stand the test of time, right? Those monoliths, those markers, those landscapings, those structures have been in the world a long duration. And that was the point of it, to mark time. The sun. I should have a diagram floating up here. I know I'll be saying that sometimes and don't be putting on no diagram. There's a diagram going up this time. So the sun rules source. And when you source something, you what? You trace it back to its origin, right? It's where it was birthed. And it's the energy of source. Information is at source. It's like DNA, right? So when people get their birth charts, their natal charts, you can see the description of their DNA. This is infinite. This is infinite source. There's an 80-year-old man somewhere who can impregnate a 22-year-old woman, because this is the gift that just keeps on giving. And ladies, with your turn, I'm going to get to y'all too. But there is no 80-year-old woman that is going to get impregnated by a 22-year-old man, right? And if it happens, it's a miracle and it's something that the Lord is divine and yada, yada, yada. But it's the gift that keeps on giving. Leo, the sun, right? Generosity, the provider. And for those who say, well, prove it, prove it. I'm going to tell you like this, right? Mr. William Williams had a son named William Williams II, who had William Williams III, William Williams IV, so on and so forth. Somewhere down that ancestral line, William, the first one, is going to come back. Is going to come back. And you say you don't believe in reincarnation, then you don't believe in Christ either, because the Lord is supposed to be coming back, right? Hold that thought, though. Hold that thought. Some of y'all done tapped into the Akashic records. Y'all done seen yourselves in different time periods, dressed in the garments and all of that stuff. I myself have. You know what I'm saying? If you have, get in the comment section to confirm that. I mean this in astral projections and dreams, y'all. And even if not, like natal charts readings that I've done for clients, I done pinpointed where their mother or their father is either in their 4th or their 10th house. And it might be found in the decadent, but so what? It's still found, and that's where they belong astrologically. So you're going to see traces of your DNA inside of your DNA regardless. Astrologically, I've seen clients who have their moons in their mom's sign, for example, or their moon in their children's signs, for example. You know what I mean? Where they belong astrologically when you take into account into what is being said about the individual. Now, think about a record player, right? A record, the word record, right? A record is parallel to a soul. When you look at ancient pictures and stuff like that, you see the sun as what? As a disc, right? So like a CD player, a record player is in the shape of a disc, right? It has these grooves in it. It's like grooves of time, right? The more that the record plays, right? Like a play, an actor, son, actor, actress. As it's played, you get the groove, the needle going along the grooves, and it just keeps going. And what it does, y'all, round and round and round. Cycles, I be telling y'all, patterns, I be telling y'all. Y'all be wanting to ignore the fact that we live in cycles and patterns. Don't, like I said, if you're lucky, you'll be able to live your pattern in a spiral that goes up. What else goes up in a spiral, especially when you play some music? We're going to leave that rabbit hole for another time, too. But listen! You know what happens if the record is scratched? It gets scratched, it skips, right? That's like the soul being damaged by something that is controversial or something adversary, or something that we ignore because we're trying to take shortcuts and fast track it. Next thing you know, you're skipping a part of the message in your own life, in your own play. What happens when you get to the end of the record? The arm raises and it goes right back to the beginning of the record and it lands down and it starts playing the record over again, right? That's those of us who don't want to drop that second album. Why? Because we living off the high of the first one. It's the birth, it's the introduction, right? Everybody's hype off of it. It's a classic. You don't want to run the risk of crashing out or just flopping on that second sophomore album, right? So you're like, nah, man, I'm living this out. And you just keep reliving it. You be scared to drop that second album. But Saturn is saying, go ahead, drop that second album if you want to transition, because Saturn is a transitional planet. If you want to run the circles and the loops and the patterns and the spiral, you want to transition. You have to transition. Or you're going to be playing that same record over and over again, right? Our favorites. What we do, we play our favorites over and over again. You ain't never heard nothing else from them? Nah, I don't want to listen to nothing else from them. That's my jam right there. It's like, come on, knock it off. Expose yourself to more. You know, if Saturn wants to measure those souls that we were talking about, right? The lineage, you might stretch it out to dynasties. I'm sure we've heard of those before, right? The Egyptian dynasties and every other culture that had dynasties. China, all over the world, right? But you cannot limit source to time because it bends, time bends. So you can't limit source to no end of a lineage. And although there are madmen out there who want to wipe out whole lineages, they want to try to do stuff like that. Shout out to the Kennedys because shit, man. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know whose cousin or aunt is going to branch off and continue the bloodline down the line, and it just keeps on going. Let's get to the moon. The moon rules over the mind and memories. The sun is not the mind, y'all. The sun is, in fact, the brain. Now, the brain sees with the two eyes, and it decides what it likes and what it dislikes in its life. It does that based on the memory that it recalls or retrieves from the moon, from the subconscious mind. The first time that you experience grapes, for example, you're just going to be like, oh, it's a grape, it's purple. I've seen somebody else eat it, I'm curious. You know what I mean? You taste it, you like it, you remember the taste, you remember everything about it, right? It's coded in your memory now. That's the moon. So when you go to see it again, you tell yourself by retrieving that memory, oh, I like grapes, I'm going to get some of those grapes. In context, the sun is consciousness. All right, what you are aware of. Because if you go brain dead, they say, what? He's unconscious. It's a wrap, right? Lights out. Lights out. But they also say, how many stories have you seen when people come out of comas and they're like, yo, I done traveled to this place, I done traveled to that place, I done seen Christ, came back, went to heaven, seen the devil, everybody. You know what I'm saying? How long was I out? Because I was just all over the place. You know what I'm saying? That's an example of the conscious eyeballs rolling in the back of the mind to see the subconscious, to see the mind, to see the moon. See, this is where it gets freaky. And now, ladies, I told y'all turn is up now. You know what I'm saying? Women are magical, like flat out. This is where it gets freaky. According to Tom in the third dimension, a soul, aka the sun, an individual, can only be measured by a certain amount of memories. Right? 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. 24 hours in a day, 666, right? So we just discovered and confirmed that Saturn is a ruler. It's a time, it's a measurement tool. Now the moon comes along and says, well, hold my beer because I can dream and provide you access to a plethora of memories that can't technically be measured by time in the 3D. These include memories that you may not ever experience or you may get to. It really depends on how you play it. But I have it, and they will deliver to you via your mama's umbilical cord while you were in the womb being formed. Now, again, I said I can give you access to this, but it's up to the player to determine if they're going to experience that in the 3D or not. And this is the type of conversations that happens when people dream and they astral project. They have conversations with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, so when that you awake, you can become conscious of what it is that's happening subconsciously behind the scenes, which I'm pretty sure y'all have heard by now, operates and controls majority of the show. Whether you get to experience some memories in contrast to others depends on priority. Remember I said that, y'all, because I'm going to come back to that when it comes to tie everything up. Priority and prioritizing. So at this point that we've described, the moon is not even subject to source, to the sun, because the sun is an actor, aka actress, or actor slash actress that has to play the role, has to play the part of the memories that are being experienced in the 3D Earth. So it has limited space for memories. When the moon, on the other hand, has limited potential for memories, it's ever expansive and it's not subject to time on the 3D plane, right? Because you can go into your subconscious mind. Remember I said in the beginning, you can have a vision and fast forward and it'll be done much quicker than you can get it done in the 3D. The moon is like off the hinges, off the chain with it. Again, the sun is the player, the actor, the actress. Y'all know them Leos got game. You know what I'm saying? It rules over gambling, games of chance and speculation. It's taking a risk out there. Now, because the soul is bound by time, it must decide, it must pick and choose which memories they're going to experience. So there's another biblical saying that says, and I might be butchering it, of course, right? But it says something like, how they has forsaken me because I have been bound to this earthly realm or something, speaking from like an angelic type of perspective, right? That they're basically captured inside of the body and it brings them anguish that they're down here bound to earth with the rest of these, I don't know, scoundrels or whatever the case may be, right? That's kind of what I'm saying right here, because the sun, the ego, the individual is faced with making decisions, right? Choice. You've seen the movies, Neo, it's about choice. You came here to understand why you made the choice. All that, you know what I'm saying? That's the sun going through the motions. And this is why I brought up priority before, because look, Saturn is going to give you a certain amount of time to obtain your experiences, right? So the benefits of astral projecting and seeing different memories, this can also come from imagining and imagination too, y'all. I'm not saying you have to astral project in order to access your memories, but there's going to be a strong probability that memories that you access while you're dreaming, and you'd be like, oh man, it felt so real, and oh, that's in the future, or that was in the past, that those are your real memories and you can actually experience them in the 3D should you plan around it. Should you plan around it and bring it to the 3D. Now back to the biblical saying, right? They're probably coming from that perspective because they're thinking from a Neptunian perspective, which is not even earthbound. It's formless, it's boundaryless, right? It's the thought, it's the imagination running wild. I don't have to be physical and feel pain and feel love and feel hate and feel, you understand what I'm saying? I don't have to feel any of that. It's bliss when you're in the Neptunian state because all of that ego is not integrated and woven into the experience. But think about it. There's a movie being shot, ran. I want you to think about Saturn as the development of the film though, right? The structuring of it, okay? It's going to take this many actors and actresses. It's going to be shot at this time. The deadline to finish it is at this time, right? We got to be at this particular location, right? That's all Saturnian work, the framing and the structuring of the actual film. Now, the film needs a script, right? That's where the sun comes in because it's the identities, the expression of the actors and the actresses that have to fill that film. And then the sun gets to operating. The sun is the source of the information and it gets played out in the film. But the moon, on the other hand, at any time could have said, no, cut, you know what, we're entering this scene. We're changing the lines here, we're changing the script. I want you to say this, I need you to say that. Oh, this is a scene that has just been added into it. This right here is going to be a hidden trailer. This right here, we got an alternate ending for setting up part 2, testing it. So now everybody's like, what? Hold on, part 2? Like, is that even a real thing? Like, y'all already got it written? Like, when are we supposed to know this? Am I still on or y'all getting Denzel? Like, what's going on here? But see, that's the moon's ability to have vast potential memories, which will produce or can produce vast experiences. It's kind of like a mystery, which the moon rules over. If you go in, or when you go into your subconscious mind and access memories that have not been exercised in the 3D yet, You could be like, watch this, and watch how I get their ass now. They don't even know I got this alternate ending. Watch this. They don't even know that this person's about to become the next superhero, and that person's gonna get killed off, and they don't even know, because it's akin to utilizing the imagination. But this is also why I say be careful when you're revealing your subconscious memories to other people, because anyone and everyone can be a suspect when you dream. You'll start getting information that's just like, oh, word, I didn't know that person felt like that about me. And then you might tell yourself stuff like, nah, that was just a dream. I'm blowing it out of proportion. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe you are wrong. But I would advise not to tell if there's no, like, have your own rule of thumb. I'm not saying to use my exact one. Have your own rule of thumb. Mine came with experience and wisdom. You might just want to hold on to that information. I know some people that wake up out of their dream and they call everybody that was in the dream. Like, yo, I just had a dream. Yo, son, you was doing this, and yo, it was bugged out because I was like, yo, you was doing that, and I can't see no shit like that happening. I'm like, it's just a dream. You never know, man. You never know. And this is where these mysteries, these great films come from. This is how predictive programming works and control of outcomes works. It's how The Simpsons does it. It's how The Boondocks does it. It's how similar films have done it, The Matrix, and so on and so forth. It's how they all have done it. Countless movies and books. You can't tell me that there's not an astral projector and some college students up at The Simpsons. And I say college students because college students are privy to information that scientists have already done in the lab, experiments, and they've typed it up in a report in a way that we can absorb the information very fast. You understand what I'm saying? So when you have students who have done that on a grand level, like repeatedly, then the brain operates much quicker on advanced information, and they're able to integrate that into writings, meetings, conferences, and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, that's what I got the education for, because now I'm seeing it all. Like, it's unfolding. It's like, it gets freaky. Like, what's that movie, Limitless, I think it's called. You take that pill, it gets wild like that when you start getting all that advanced information at a very rapid pace. Because those scientists did all of the grunt work in the lab. You know what I'm saying? So a student could just read the abstract and the conclusion. You read 20 or 40 of those in one day. Come on, what are we talking about right now? You understand what I'm saying? And then if they're able to retain information well, off the chain. Students, y'all know what I'm talking about. So look, why should we learn how to predictive program? I'm going to tell you right now. So remember my opening argument, right? About the sayings, live in the moment, dealing with the past, don't worry about your future. But a lot of y'all want to manifest, right or wrong. So that's the problem. There is a problem. If you want to manifest, but you don't want to do any predictive programming, that's probably your primary problem. I'm just keeping it a bean. If you want to learn how to manifest, you want to learn how to predictively program. And that entails knowing history. Like I said before, if you don't know what happened before, you don't know where you're going, right? It's bound to repeat itself, that loop, that pattern, that first album. You don't want to drop the second album. You don't even want to record. You don't even want to write the second album. It comes with also anticipating the future. And it also comes with living in the moment. All of those things. So, I mean, like, tell your landlord that you're living in the moment on the first of the month. See how that goes. You know what I'm saying? And then what's going to happen is you're going to go back to one of the Lord's sayings that fit you conveniently at the time. You know, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, right? And if God only removes something out of your life because he's about to replace it with something bigger, y'all going to start getting in y'all Bible and all that, right? And you may be right about that, but there is also a possibility that you could have prevented any and all of that if you would have prepared via planning. You could have even did this switcheroo to where God is trying to lead you by the preparation and the planning. Now, people say time is money. That is not true. And for those of you who are new, borrows are nice. We know that already. Search my channel and go look up the Time is Authority video. It's a gem. But let's get a refresher. Why not? Now, we confirmed earlier that time is a ruler, a measurement of earth-bound objects and movement, the tangible, the 3D. Now, ask yourself this question. Does time ask you for money? Does your watch go off every 24 hours like, all right, it's about that time, buddy. Cough up because certain amount of hours and went by and I need mine. No, right? Okay. So time, aka Saturn, is really authority. not to be mistaken with attention, because that's the sun. So you could be driving a car and you got to give your attention to the front of the road, right, in order to drive that car. See how far you get. If you doze over, you close your eyes, right? But at the same time, the goal or the authority goes to you reaching your destination in a certain amount of time. So let's say you're going 60 miles per hour. The authority goes to 60 miles per hour. It goes to you reaching that destination within an hour by going 60. The time is 60, right? Another explanation of what I'm saying. Does the goal of arriving at the destination ask you for money? No, it doesn't. The car does. The gas does. The only time that time asks you for money is when there's a facility or a utility to where you have to pay for its use. So sort of like the car, what I was saying before, we're going to get to that. The car, right? The car salesman is asking you for money. The car salesman wants your money. The creator, the designer of the car wants your money. But they're only using time as a tool to get your money, right? They lease it or they finance it to you based upon its life cycle. And if you buy it off the floor, it still has a life cycle. A car only going to last for a certain amount of time, depending on its use. And you would want to trade your money for its use. If you're smart, what happens to people who buy 30 cars? We're going to get to that in a little bit too. But my point is, when you buy the car, it ranks in authority with other things that are relative to your life, right? Because you bought it and you bought it for a time to use. So remember, I've talked about how the 3D, Saturn is a ruler of your tangible experience here on Earth. So buying that car and the use of that car has authority in your life now, because it's going to be time used to experience on this earth. How about your computer? Does it ask for your time? Does it say, hey, give me your money and I'm going to give you this computer for you to use it for a certain amount of time? Sure, it has a life cycle. It too will erode, break down at some point. You might have to refurbish it, upgrade it, you know what I'm saying? Get it fixed, a cracked screen here and there. True. The objective of the tangible structure is to store your memories, and potentially provide them to the internet, right? Does it want your mind, body, and your soul? Not the actual computer, not necessarily, but the internet, on the other hand, that's a story for another time. Some people will say, I'm making my investment in this computer, I'm buying this computer, and I'm going to make some money from it. And it's just like, okay, you're trying to, when you get your computer, when you bring it home and you plug it in, will you knock on it and money will come out of it? No. That's the bank. And even then, you'd be taking out your own money that you put in, right? So, yeah, you may have the intent that you're going to utilize to store the memories, to upload it to the internet, or, whatever creations that you have there to obtain some type of revenue from it. But it's a risk. It's a gamble. It's not guaranteed, right? So time is not money in that aspect either. You know what I mean? For those of you who have bought it to do online education, you know what I'm saying? You are also utilizing the internet to obtain that information, do reports on them. You're going to save those reports because you're going to want to go over that knowledge when you graduate to build your own plan and plan of action and things of that nature. Or I guess I'm hoping you would. And for those of you just buying it to serve, I don't really know what to call y'all. And that's probably a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Here nor there. The point here is that the time that you will be using the computer has authority in your life. It's the time that you're using that has authority in your life. Because that time that you're using with the computer, you're going to be using it whether you make money or not. Remember, it's a gamble, it's a risk. You might not even know if the film hits off or if it flops. You don't know. You know what I mean? This is where planning, prioritizing, and predictive programming comes in, because you want to be a success. You want your film to be successful. You want your social media posts to go viral and stuff like that. You want that.